You know, after spending 15 years in the oil and gas industry, I found myself at a crossroads. Growing up in the country, I developed a deep love for the outdoors and everything it has to offer: the open fields, the woods, the rivers, and to this day, I still enjoy riding my motorcycle through the countryside, taking in the natural beauty around me. So when politicians began their relentless mantra about the end of oil and gas, pushing the narrative that the future was all about green energy, I was conflicted, to say the least. Now, it was everywhere: promises of a clean, sustainable utopia powered by solar panels and wind turbines. But something didn't sit quite right with me. And I knew the industry, and I understood the complexities of energy production better than most. So I decided to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself, a moment of deep reflection to decide where I truly stood on all of this. Now, I dove headfirst into research, reading reports and studies and expert analysis. And what I discovered was really wide eye opening. The more I learned, the more I realized the so called green energy revolution was not all that it seemed. Despite all the promises, solar panels and wind turbines could not provide the stable, reliable energy that oil and gas has to offer and has for decades. Now, I learned that carbon is the building block of almost everything, from plastics to medicines, hey, even that green screen you're reading this on. Yet carbon has been demonized as if it were a dirty word. The idea of completely replacing oil and gas with green energy felt more like wishful thinking than a practical solution. Take offshore wind farms, for example. Just recently, many of these projects have been canceled because they're not financially viable. Even in places like New York, where there's a strong push for renewables, the state is subsidizing offshore energy around $150 per megawatt hour. The average price in the US is about 50 bucks. That means those people up there are paying about 200. Solar farms face their own issues. They get decimated by hailstorms here in Texas and many other states, and they only produce energy on, hey, bright sunny days. Here in Texas, ERCOT data shows that wind generates about 25% of its installed capacity, and solar is just 11. That's here in Texas. And for all the talk about green energy, these numbers hardly paint a picture of efficiency. Then there's that study that came across from Volvo, which compared their four-door internal combustion engine, what they call ICE, sedan, to an electric vehicle. And surprisingly, the EV had a carbon footprint that was 70% larger than the ICE car. And for the average European driver, it takes about 9 years for those two vehicles to have the same carbon footprint. Well, that's almost a full lifespan of the battery, meaning the ICE will always have a smaller carbon footprint. And earlier this year, there was a report that showed EVs actually release more toxic emissions and are worse for the environment than the ICE vehicles. So the deeper I dug, the clearer it became that green energy, it's not as green as it's made out to be. And it wasn't based on my opinions, but on factual, hard science. From the manufacturing of solar panels and batteries to the disposal of all these technologies, the environmental impact was greater than many have realized. Even at the end of their life cycles, these green technologies proved to be more damaging than oil and natural gas. So in the end, my research led me to the firm conclusion: green energy, as it's being pushed today, is bad for the environment without or throughout the entire life cycle. It's not about promoting oil and gas because it's my energy or my industry. It's about recognizing realities backed by science and facts of what truly works and what doesn't. And for all the talk of the green revolution, there's one simple truth. The world still runs on oil and gas, and it's likely to stay that way for a very long time. So if you're interested in learning how you can benefit from adding income producing oil and gas properties to your portfolio, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to share more insights and help you explore the opportunities available to you today. Thank you for watching.